So yeah, we're here. We got everything hooked up and ready to go. Let's talk about this game.
Yeah, so 30 minutes away from the kickoff for the championship matchup between your Albany Firebirds
and the
and the Nashville Cats.
Yeah. Boo. No.
There you go.
So no, it should be a great matchup. So to kind of get things going, because we're right up against kickoff here. We did sit down with head coach of.
Hold on, before we do that though, I just want to tell a really quick story. I know we're getting close to kickoff, but after finding out that Albany will be heading down to Nashville for this afternoon's Arena Crown matchup, our goal was to secure a spot for something to be able to do this pregame show like we did last year at MVP Arena. We weren't sure exactly what to do. We were racking our brains. But thanks to one of the leaders of Flock Support, she made it happen for us. Give a hand to the mother flocker, Denise Secor. Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, thank everybody for being here, too. It means a lot. It's been a long season, but, boy, it's been nice to see the crowd grow every single week. So
Absolutely. So this week we talked to Coach Ware, and we talked to Gary Compton, the director of competition, and we got a few clips for you guys to show what we're doing this week. And I wanted to, he talked about the win last week, so let's hear Damon for that. And Coach, talk about winning, beating Minnesota, and making it to the championship again.
I mean, the biggest thing is just sometimes just need to slow down just a little bit and enjoy the moment, enjoy the process. I'm so busy throughout the year. I really just rarely get to sit back and kind of think about just how special it is what we've built here. Since we've came back as the Firebirds in 24, this is our third straight championship game. And just to think of just how special that is for the Capital Region, for our coaching staff, for our players, and all the people that have came through the doors, different interns and coaches, and all the people that have been involved. I mean, it's really is a special thing. I was sitting there the day after the Minnesota game, and I kind of started our meetings a little later that morning just because I wanted to just kind of take it in for a morning, mm-hmm. and just was sitting there just thinking, it's like, wow, this is our third straight championship game. And it's insane. That's really it's almost just eye opening and just emotional. And, so sometimes you got to stop and think. I work so much that I rarely think about it, but wow, how special is it to go to 3 straight championship games? What dominance that takes, what great, owners and organization that takes,
There's Damon talking about the win last week and the fact that 3 championships game appearances. Why he talks about why this win was special for he and the Firebirds.
This year is going to be special just in an opposite way is, just how many people that we've had to go through to get to this moment. We have just never had this amount of injuries in the course of a season. I mean, we've had a few players quit for various reasons that just I've never in my life have I had a player tell me they were going to quit a professional season.
That's wild.
So we've had a few of those that happened this year. So this year it's special just that we were able to hang in there and go through all the adversity and get to this moment. I mean, it was way tougher this year to get to this moment just because you got to think of how many new faces we had to bring through the door, and then to get them ready to play at our standard, at our level, it's almost impossible. And I think, it just, people get spoiled of seeing us win, and they just don't understand how difficult it is what we did this year, which was, find the right talent, get them here and then get them coached up way quicker than we'd like to. And we love training camp. Our training camp has really been the pinnacle of what we do here, is how hard we work in that time frame that kind of spurs us to the moment of the end of the season. And so this year it's just, bring in, 3-4 guys every week and get them ready to play quickly, and then get in these games and have to win. And, going through a little tough stretch towards the end, and we just needed to get healthy. So it was just hang in there, get in one of the top 2 seeds, and then we can get a moment to get healthy. And we did all those things, and now here we are, and we're healthy. I mean, this season's going to be incredible. Just, the last story written is just, it's like a storybook. I mean, it's like a fairy tale.
Right.
We just needed to get to a 2-week break. We got there. We're healthy. We come out. We take care of business in the semifinals, and now we're right where we really want to be. And the story's still yet to be written. We've got to go down there and play a very tough opponent and play our best football of the season. And then again, as a reporter told me, that no Albany professional team in any sport has ever won a championship on the road. And that's, me, I like all these roadblocks because I like to run through them. And so that even gave me more motivation to take a team on the road for a championship game and go win it somewhere else. So we can say that we're the first to do it.
Damon, Ware, they're talking about the championship opportunity. And, it's very important, and we wanted to talk about the matchup as well, which is the next clip for Damon. But we wanted to talk about this matchup. I think that it could be whoever has the ball last might end up taking the whole thing. What do you think?
I tend to agree with that. I also tend to believe that one of these teams are going to have at least a 10-point advantage sometime during this game. I don't think Albany could afford to go in an 18-point hole like they did the last time.
No.
But yeah, it should be a very, very competitive game based on some of the awards that they did or didn't get the other night. I think that's enhanced their will to play for their fellow teammates. I'll leave it at that.
And I think it could come down to special teams. And Coach Ware said that, and I think he says that here in this clip as well that you'll hear. And it really could. The kicker could make a difference. Those two ones and twos and all that.
Yep.
So here's Coach Ware about the matchup today.
I mean, this is about as close of a matchup on paper as you probably can get. I mean, top 2 offenses, 2 of the top, 3 defenses. It's got everything. It's, their kicker has just been phenomenal this year. Like I said, I can't give him enough credit. He has just been phenomenal. Obviously, Henry Nell last year was phenomenal for us. So, this year has been just a little more important of the kicking game than it was last year. So some of those little, the games have been a little tighter and those kicking points really, really come to fruition in these games. So us bringing in, Bailey Hale, just a godsend. Like I said, I told him during the game, I didn't know I needed this until it started to happen. And then I realized how much my heart felt so good watching him kick. And I mean, this really is a matchup of all matchups across the board. It's good coaching, it's good staffs, it's good players, and just, again, offenses, defenses, special teams, everything is in line for just an incredible football game.
So yeah, those are his thoughts. Looking at this game, Coach has been talking about it, quite a bit. I mean, it feels like since again, we're talking about here again about health. Going all the way back to like week 2 or week 3, they've been chasing health since like week 2. And
I think we've had 8 different receivers, and I think we've had 8 different defensive linemen, and I mean, it's been insane to see how many guys that have been out there, and every one of them has contributed something to this football team. And
no, for sure. And just another thought on that. I mean, earlier in the week we had teased a shorter clip with Coach about Coach of the Year. For my money, I feel as though that, this may have been a step above of a coaching job than what he had last year. But in the end, you're looking at a team that had 1 loss. All the respect to them in the world. But I do believe that Coach has had to really put the work in this year, even more so than he has in the past. So
I mean, and you can if you're a team and you have the top guy here and the top guy there, it's like your coaching job. When you don't have all those top guys because of whatever reason, that's a big difference. It plays a big difference and a big role. And so he's gonna Damon here in this next clip is gonna talk about health. The fact that the Firebirds got the 2 seed, which gave them the double bye. Really made a big difference in for today's for the semifinal last week, but also the championship today. And the other part of it is too, and I wanted to get a comment or two on the fact that the last time you guys faced off, you were in that situation of like health was a problem, a couple of guys out for different things that, you weren't expecting. This time, the health after that 2 weeks is going to be much better. So, that part of it, you're going to have your guys at 100% or as close to 100 as you can.
Yeah, like I said, getting to be a first or second seed was just a necessary thing. Had we not been a first or second seed, I don't think we're sitting here. We needed the time off, and like I said, I told the guys, man, nothing football related. If you're going to do anything athletic, get in the pool. Really, just take the time to just be off of your bodies and give your time. Rarely do you get 2 weeks off in any season,
right.
And so right before the playoffs. So it was perfect, and like I said, we came out of that 2 weeks and had our best week of practice we've had in many weeks. We've had the healthiest practice, in 8, 9, 10 weeks. Again, it was really incredible. And so to just watch everything to come together, like I said, talking to their coach, we kind of talked about it after both matchups was, they understood that we weren't at our very, very best. And so, they know they have a very good football team, and we know that as well. But they knew there was something extra that we still had that we weren't putting out in those games. And so is it tough to beat a team 3 times? Absolutely.
And it definitely is.
Yeah.
You and I both been on football teams where it's like, you face a team during the regular season, you get them in the playoffs again. It's like, okay, what do we got?
Yeah, it's just like playing a divisional opponent in the playoffs.
Right.
If you, in the NFL, that is. If you were to look that up and you look at the matchups for the divisional playoffs, playoffs with divisional foes,
Yep.
That is much less likely to be chalk. And that's what this playoff season has been so far. So let's see what tonight looks like.
Yes, and to finish off, Coach Ware talks about the keys to success of how it's going to be that one team will come out on top, and obviously we think it's the Firebirds. And here's Coach Ware's keys to success for today. So matchup-wise, like you just said, everything is very even on both sides of all 3 phases of the ball. What are some of the keys to success for you guys, but then also maybe one that you're looking at Nashville going, okay, we need to be able to do this to have success?
Just be opportunistic on defense. We know they're a phenomenal offensive team, but we've been really opportunistic at times. We get turnovers, I think, better than anybody else at key moments. What we need to do is get a couple turnovers in this game. Couple turnovers in this game will really turn this game around. Offensively, do they feel confident in facing us? I know they don't, whether they admit it or not. Do they feel confident facing us for 4 quarters? Their defense against our offense. There's no way. We have a phenomenal offense. Every single one of our receivers, all 4 guys, whoever we employ this weekend, they're all starters and they're all excellent. We'll rotate through guys. We'll keep them fresh. They're all good. They can all take every single time they touch the ball for a touchdown. So that's tough to manage. On the same side, our defensive backs are in that same position. They've got some phenomenal kids that, can touch the ball and make a lot of things happen. Our kicking game's got to be in double digits again, and we know that. So we want to be above 10 points in the kicking game, play solid on special teams. Obviously, we've got to keep Honeycutt, from breaking any long, kickoff returns. And then again, we just have to be opportunistic on defense. And so everything else, I just, again, with all the matchups and everything that's going on, I just really like how this game shapes up for us. Again, we feel Nashville is our biggest rival, and these games are just really, really fun.
It is so, and again, from a fan perspective, they've watched Malik Honeycutt all year long. Is it something internally where you're like, okay, we have to make sure we know where number 1 is? Like, is that kind of a thing, or is it at a point now because you guys have faced him twice and them twice where it's like, okay, we know what's going on here? It's not even that anymore.
I mean, you always have to be concerned with best players of teams. And so he's definitely a top, 5 receiver in this league. So anytime you're facing those guys, you've got to be ready to go and you got to know where they are on the field. But, in the same regard, again, we have 3 of the top 5 guys. And so you got to really worry about our guys as well. So, both the defenses have, are going to have a tough time. There's a ton of talent on the field on both offenses. So like I said, it's going to be, we have to be opportunistic fantastic. We need to get to Kokosam. We need to keep him uncomfortable. And again, we've got the guys that'll be able to do that. And so, and we just got to come up with some key turnovers. We come up with some key turnovers. This should be a really fun game.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a really fun game. I think it's going to be a really close game. It's going to be nerve-wracking, I think, maybe in the middle, but hopefully at the end we're celebrating another title.
Yeah, I think he hit the nail right on the head. I don't really feel as though you could really kind of feel any other way than the way he just described. I mean, I think it's a coin flip game. It's going to come down to, like you said, we're gonna have to make some good luck for ourselves. You're not going to get any favors down there in Clarksville. You're going to have to handle your business. You're gonna have to play 9 guys, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and eight,
not 10.
8. Well, here's the thing: 8 plus the fans.
Right, that's right.
They're going to have a full house down there. It's going to be loud, and Albany's used to that, but that's a home loud versus a on the road loud.
Yeah, I don't think they're really necessarily all that concerned with it, because I think I know speaking with Coach, we did ask him that question. That didn't make the cut, but at that time Sam was playing quarterback, so offensively, leadership wise, it really shouldn't be much of an issue. When you look at it from a quarterback, then you look at your O line. Your O line has also played in that situation. All of your players has pretty much played in this game. So yeah, I mean, of course, there's going to be a few miscues, but I think in the end they can overcome it.
Absolutely. We're down here, just to reiterate for those getting on now, we're at Junior's Bar and Grill down in Western Ave in Guilderland. We have a full house here. Lots of fans here today for the watch party for our championship game. And we also talked to Gary Compton, the director of competition for Arena Football 1, and had a great interview with him. And we talked about how set the league is now when it comes to how close the league is and the parity of the league. And we have some chairs because they just put it on the TVs here in the back room.
We're going to be irrelevant very soon.
Yes, so we won't matter very soon.
So let's roll through these clips.
All right, let's get through these. So Gary talks about the parity that the league has now in year 2. I wanted to talk from a league perspective. Last year, you had some games that were real big blowouts. It wasn't as competitive. And this year, any one of the 6 teams that made the playoffs could have been in this game, today. Just talk about from a player, from a operations perspective, a player personnel perspective, the fact that this is so much more competitive. The league is way more competitive this year than it was last year.
Yeah, a lot more parity, right? As you've obviously seen, when you have all 8 teams fighting for a playoff spot going into the last week of the season, that's obviously, a great situation. Unfortunately, 2 got left out and all that, but we've seen a lot more parity with that. We've seen a lot better play, and I think we've seen a lot better talent coming in, and it's been mainstreamed over, through some of the teams and all of that and everything. And I just think, it's year 2, right? As we always say, we grow each year, and that's what we want to do as we continue to move into 2027.
So the league is strong. According to Gary, the league is pretty strong. And thanks, Denise, for walking right in our shot. Appreciate that. But that's okay. The league is strong. Obviously there was a little bit of back and forth, and the Oregon team obviously had their problems. But as a whole, the league is strong. Yep. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think you're seeing it tonight. I mean, you saw it in the playoffs. Every team that was in the playoffs could have won it. I think Gary mentions that in this next clip.
And, Chalk reigned supreme at the semifinals. Nashville, with a big win, scored the most points combined in the history of AF1 with a big win over the Arsenal. And then Albany gets in, beating the Minnesota Monsters. Just talk a little bit about, this playoff path and the fact that it's going to be, Albany versus Nashville for a second year in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be a great rematch, right, from last year. Obviously, the venues change, but 2 great semifinal games, right? We started off, I was down in Albany, last Saturday night with Albany, defeating Minnesota it was a great battle all the way through. I thought back and forth. Thought Minnesota was going to have a chance there. Then Albany kind of pulled it out late to, obviously get to their third straight championship here. And then the Nashville game. We knew Michigan coming in was a very hot team offensively, right? Don't play too much defense, but as Coach Leota has always told me, he doesn't care as long as he scores one more point than the other team. But Nashville came out, like you said, scored 92 points. Back and forth there, a lot of points scored. I think that was the highest scoring total, in AF1 history. And culminate here on Saturday afternoon with the Cats and the Birds and the rematch from last year.
Talk about the matchup. Last year, Albany kind of, obviously the Crown game was a very close game, like I think 60-57. But Albany kind of had the main thing. They had the run of it all year long. This year, obviously Nashville is the favorite going in just based on records and things like that. Just talk about the matchup a little bit from your perspective and just seeing, these two teams battle it out for the third time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell two stories, like you said, right? It's almost like they switched, with, like you said, Albany kind of having everything, last year, Nashville kind of having the run of the gate this year. But we all know in a championship game, you got two great teams coming down, two great coaches with Coach Ware and Coach Arbet. There'll be some strategies done and everything. I think as anything else, right, it's going to come down to execution. And can anybody on the defensive side get a stop?
So you've watched Nashville a couple times this year. Tyler Kalka is, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Malik Honeycutt. Just talk about what you've seen with Nashville as they get ready for today's Arena Crown.
Yeah, the high-scoring offense, right, in the league this year. I know Coach Pappin's done a great job there. Tyler has been, phenomenal with that organization. And, Malik Honeycutt and Gandy and BK Williams, there's a lot of those guys, right, that create that offensive fire. But then you guys had and signed Bailey Hell last week, and we saw what Bailey did. So, you kind of look at this whole thing as kind of a coin flip, who can jump on each other the fastest and, what can happen. And like I said, it's the two best teams in this, and that's what we want, to see who's going to be the champion here in 2026.
All right, we got about 7 minutes left before kickoff. I'm excited. Also, they announced awards last night at the meetings. They had like owner meetings and all that stuff. Tyler Kalka from the Cats got the MVP. The offensive player, and of course I'm having to look it up, was Malik Henry from the Arsenal. And the defensive player was Byron Edwards from the Wolfpack. So Albany got shut out in the big awards.
Yeah, but that's right. They're going to show up today.
So because Albany got shut out of the big awards, we made up our own award. We gave ourselves an award.
Yeah, we figured if nobody's going to give us one, we're just going to make one.
Our own.
Opportunity knocks. Buy the nest. Congratulations.
Thank you for that smattering of applause. That's about what it deserved.
That was a pleasure this year. We just want to have a little bit of fun with it because the awards are they're behind us. We'll put it to you that way. But the kickoff is in front of us. So let's wrap this thing up and get ready for the game.
Absolutely. Again, thank you to Juniors for hosting us. Thank you to Denise for helping us plan this watch party. And thank you to the fans for coming out and supporting us all year long with all the shenanigans that we're up to. And we'll thank Sam, too, because Sam's doing video as well. Sam Doherty doing the video. But thank you, guys, and enjoy the game. Bye for now.